The ocean is a big place. It holds a lot of secrets. Some secrets just feel heavier than others. The story of the Kaz II is one of those. People call it the modern Mary Celeste. That's because 3 men just vanished. They left their boat sailing. Everything looked fine, but they were gone. It was April 2008. The sun was shining over the Coral Sea. This is off the coast of Queensland, Australia. The Great Barrier Reef is there. It's beautiful, but it can also be very isolated. A Coast Watch plane was on a routine patrol. The crew scanned the water below. They saw a catamaran. It was sailing, but something seemed wrong. No one was on deck. The boat was the Kaz II. It was a 9.8-meter vessel. It was a nice boat. It was moving slowly. Its sails were up. The plane circled. They saw no sign of life. This was strange. A boat sailing alone. No one to be seen. The Coast Watch crew reported it. A rescue boat was sent. It was from Townsville. Police and rescue workers went out to the Kaz II. They were probably thinking someone was sick, or maybe injured. Maybe they fell asleep below deck. But what they found was much stranger, and much sadder. They boarded the catamaran. It was still sailing. The engine was running. This was the first odd thing. It was like someone just stepped away for a minute. But no one was there. They looked around. The table was set for a meal. Food was on it, like dinner was about to happen, or had just finished. A laptop was open. It was on. Life jackets were still stowed. They were in their racks. Fenders were out on one side of the boat. Fenders are those big rubber things. People put them out to protect the boat. Maybe when they are about to dock, or when they are tied up to another boat. So this was another clue. But what did it mean? There were no signs of a struggle. Nothing was broken. Nothing was out of place in a violent way. It was just an empty boat, sailing on its own, with the engine running and the table set. It was like the crew had just disappeared into thin air. The crew was 3 men. There was Derek Batten. He is 56 years old. He owned the boat. He was the skipper. Then there were brothers, Peter Tunstead, 69, and James Tunstead, 63. Derek and Peter were brothers-in-law. James was Peter's brother. They were good friends. They were on a dream trip. A trip to Cairns. Cairns is a city further up the Queensland coast. It's a popular spot. They had left Airlie Beach a few days before. That was April 15th. They were heading north. Their plan was to go up the coast. They wanted to fish. They wanted to explore. They just wanted to have a good time. They were experienced sailors, not rookies. Derek had owned the boat for a while. He knew how to sail it. The Tunstead brothers were also keen on the sea. They had sailed before. This was not their first time on a boat. But now they were gone. All 3 of them. The police searched the boat thoroughly. They wanted to find anything. Any clue. They found a camera. It had pictures on it. Pictures from their trip. They were happy photos. Pictures of them fishing. One of them showering on deck. The last picture was taken on April 15th. That was the day they left Airlie Beach. 3 days had passed since that last photo. The boat was found on April 20th. So, 5 days after they left. What happened in those 5 days? Why were there no more pictures? That was a long gap. The police noticed some things were missing. The boat's dinghy was gone. A dinghy is a small boat. Sailors usually tow it behind the main boat, or keep it on deck. This one was gone. Also, 2 life jackets were missing, not the ones in the racks, but 2 others. And the boat's EPIRB was gone too. An EPIRB is a device. It sends out a distress signal. If you're in trouble, you activate it. It tells rescue teams where you are. So the missing EPIRB was a big deal. Why was it not activated? Or if it was, why wasn't a signal received? Or was it just taken? A massive search began. Planes flew over the ocean. Boats combed the water. They looked for days. They looked where the Kaz II was found. They looked along its drift path. They hoped to find the men, or at least some debris, something to explain it. But they found nothing. Not a single trace. The sea gave up no answers. After many days, the search was called off. The men were presumed lost at sea. It was a terrible outcome. So, what happened? This is the big question. The one everyone asks, the one that keeps the mystery alive. There are theories. Some are more likely than others, but no one knows for sure. The most accepted theory is a series of accidents. It's called the man overboard scenario. This is what the Queensland Coroner's Inquiry eventually leaned towards. Let's think about it. Imagine them sailing. It's a nice day. They're fishing. Maybe one of them falls overboard. It can happen fast. A sudden lurch. A slippery deck. A momentary lapse in attention. If one man goes in, the others would try to help. That's just human nature. You wouldn't leave your friend or brother. So maybe Derek falls in. He's the owner. The skipper. Peter and James would immediately try to rescue him. They might try to turn the boat. Or throw him a line. Maybe they try to use the dinghy. This makes sense of the missing dinghy. Maybe they launched it quickly, they jumped into it to go get Derek, but what if something went wrong then? What if the dinghy drifted away too fast, or capsized? The Kaz II was still sailing. The engine was running. It would keep going. The current and wind can be strong out there. A small dinghy is no match for the open sea. And the Kaz II was a catamaran. Catamarans can be stable, but they also have a wider beam. Turning them around quickly can be harder than a monohull. And if they were in a hurry under stress, mistakes happen. This scenario explains why all three were gone. One goes in, two try to save him, all three end up in the water. Maybe the first man was already gone. Then the two rescuers get into trouble themselves. They might not have had time to grab life jackets. This would explain why the life jackets were still in their racks, except for the two missing ones. Perhaps those two were grabbed in a rush, but then they were also lost, the fenders being out on one side. This is another small clue. Why would they be out? People put fenders out to protect the boat when approaching a dock, or when tying up next to another boat. But they were out at sea. Perhaps they were trying to recover something from the water. Or someone. You might put fenders out to cushion the side of the boat, if you're bringing someone aboard. Or if you're pulling in something large, like a big catch of fish, or maybe a buoy. This fits the rescue idea. They were trying to get something or someone out of the water. The conditions at sea were initially calm, but the weather can change fast, especially in that area. Strong winds can blow up suddenly, squalls can appear. If they were in the water or in a small dinghy, a sudden change in weather would make things much worse. The wind and current could easily separate them from the Kaz II, and once you lose sight of the boat, it's very hard to find again, especially if it's still sailing away, the missing EPIRB. This is a crucial detail. If they had time, why didn't they activate it? Or if they took it with them in the dinghy, why didn't it send a signal? An EPIRB can save lives. Maybe they didn't have time, or maybe it was damaged. Or maybe it simply failed. We don't know if it was even in good working order, or if they managed to activate it, but the signal was never received. These devices usually float. So if they took it and then the dinghy capsized, it should have still worked. It is a big question mark. Another version of the man overboard theory involves fishing. The camera showed them fishing. Maybe one of them was fighting a big fish, and he got pulled overboard. Or maybe a fishing line got tangled in the propeller. Someone would have to go in the water to free it. This is a dangerous task, and if the boat was still moving, even slowly, it could be very risky. If one person went in, the others would be there to help. And again, a chain of events could lead to all three ending up in the water. Think about the deck. It's a moving platform. Even on a calm day, there's a swell. It's easy to slip, especially if you're focused on something else, like a fishing line, or trying to rescue a friend. The ocean can be unforgiving. It doesn't need a big storm to take people. Just a few seconds of bad luck, and a powerful current. The idea of the boat just sailing away. It feels so eerie. It's like it abandoned its crew, but that's what boats do. They follow the wind, they follow the current. If no one is at the helm, if no one is there to control it. The Kaz II was found far from where they were last known to be. It had drifted a long way. This makes sense if it was sailing on its own for days, the table set for a meal. This suggests they were doing something normal, eating, or about to eat. This means they weren't in a panic, not at that exact moment. They were probably relaxed, enjoying their trip. This makes the sudden disappearance even more shocking. It wasn't like they were in a known storm, or a clear emergency. It feels like something sudden happened, without warning. Now, some people also considered foul play. Could it have been pirates? Australia isn't really known for pirates, not in the traditional sense, not like some other parts of the world. And there were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no damage to the boat, nothing seemed ransacked. Valuables were still on board. The laptop was there, the engine was running. If it was pirates, why leave the boat intact? Why take just the men? It doesn't fit. It seems very unlikely. It would be a very strange kind of piracy, a very quiet one. What about a dispute between the men? Could one man have hurt the others, then gone overboard himself? Again, no signs of violence. They were friends and family. The photos showed them happy. No tension. This also seems highly improbable. People don't just disappear this way in a fight. Not without leaving some kind of mess. Suicide? 3 men? All at once? That's almost impossible to imagine. And why sail for days, take happy photos, and then all decide to end their lives? There's no evidence for this at all. And it goes against everything known about their trip. Some people even mention supernatural explanations, or sea monsters, but those are stories for movies. Not for real-life investigations. Investigators deal with facts, with probabilities. The ocean is dangerous enough on its own. It doesn't need monsters to be deadly. So the most logical explanation remains the man overboard scenario, a sequence of unfortunate events, triggered by one person going into the water and the others trying to save him. Let's try to reconstruct it again. Step by step, they leave Airlie Beach on April 5th. They are happy, they take photos. The last photo is from that day. They are enjoying the start of their journey. For the next few days, they sail north. The weather might have been mixed, some calm, some wind. At some point, something happens. Maybe one of them, let's say Derek, is at the stern. He is maybe checking a fishing line, or looking at the propeller, or maybe he just slips. A rogue wave could have hit, a wave that was bigger than the others. It throws him into the water. He shouts for help. Peter and James rush to the back of the boat. They see him in the water. The boat is still moving slowly. The engine is running. Panic sets in. They need to get him out fast. They grab the dinghy. Maybe it was already partially prepared. They launch it. They jump in. They have the 2 missing life jackets with them and maybe the EPIRB too, just in case. They row towards Derek or try to start the dinghy's small motor. But the Kaz II is still drifting away or sailing away with the wind. The current is also strong. They reach Derek, or maybe they don't. Maybe he's already too far or unconscious. Then disaster strikes the dinghy. It could capsize. A wave could hit it. It's a small boat. Or maybe it just drifts too far. The Kaz II continues on its way, unmanned. All 3 men are now in the water, or 1 or 2 in the water, and 1's still trying to help. But everyone ends up in the sea. They are in the open ocean, without the main boat, without a reliable way to signal for help. The life jackets help for a while, but the sea is vast. The sun is hot. The nights are cold, and the currents just carry them away. All the EPIRB. If it was taken, if it was activated, why no signal? Maybe it got damaged when the dinghy capsized. Or maybe it never got activated. In the chaos, people make mistakes. They forget things. Under extreme stress, this is a plausible chain of events. It fits most of the clues. The missing dinghy, the missing life jackets, the still sailing boat, the engine running, the table set. It speaks to a sudden, unexpected event. Not a planned one, not a drawn-out struggle. The Queensland coroner, Michael Barnes, concluded this was the most likely explanation. He formally found that Derek Batten, Peter Tunstead, and James Tunstead died at sea. He called it death by misadventure. This means death by accident, not foul play. No clear cause. Just a terrible accident. The Kaz II was eventually cleaned up. It was put up for sale. It was a good boat. But it carried a heavy story. Its mystery made it famous. Or infamous. It became a modern legend. The modern Mary Celeste. The original Mary Celeste was a ship found in 1872, sailing alone in the Atlantic. Its crew also gone, with no explanation. The Kaz II mystery feels very similar. The families of the men were left with this mystery. No bodies were ever found. No definitive answers, just theories. That's a hard thing to live with, not knowing what exactly happened to your loved ones, where they are, how they died. The sea keeps its secrets. It's a cautionary tale for sailors. The sea demands respect, even on a beautiful day, even on a well-maintained boat. Even for experienced sailors, things can go wrong very quickly. Always be prepared. Always wear a life jacket. Always have your EPIRB ready and activate it. The story of the Kaz II reminds us of the power of nature and the fragility of life. These 3 men were on an adventure, a simple, happy trip. It turned into a nightmare, a mystery that still haunts people today. People will continue to talk about the Kaz II. They will speculate. They will wonder, because the human mind wants answers. It wants closure, but some stories just don't give them. The Kaz II is one of those stories. It's a ghost boat, sailing through our minds, always asking the same question. What happened to the crew? And the ocean just answers with silence. It just keeps on rolling. And the secrets stay buried deep, under the waves, far from human reach. And that's a hard truth to accept.